with support from the De Gama Group.
Welcome to Rumbo Minero. Cesar, how's it going? Good to see you, Jorge, as always. I'm Jorge Leon, and alongside Cesar Campos, we'll host this program. Cesar, I think it's important to mention Tia Maria, as Mr. Oscar González Rocha has said, the topic is moving forward, right? And from here, from Rumbo Minero, we call on the residents of Bahía del Tambo. We are confident that with the significant amount of work that will be created and also assistance in agriculture and agro-export, be very careful with these protests and these things that are made by anti-mining NGOs, and we know it. But be very careful because they are dealing with the future of your locality, and Tia Maria will indeed create a substantial number, 9,000 jobs. We're discussing crucial support in agriculture, and we must not be misled as a community because outsiders come to provoke.
Exactly, because the announcement was made during a socialization that has already occurred, and with the true agreement of the communities, as you point out, Jorge, intermediaries and NGOs come to interfere, and especially alerting an agricultural sector that thanks to the dam, which is already one of the commitments made by Tia Maria, they will have a permanent irrigation system. So there's no way to oppose this project that will benefit the country greatly. We truly must
think with reason. This is Bahía del Tambo's future, and it will do well. Did you want to prevent water pollution? Well, you will have a reservoir, and you will receive financial assistance. So I really think you need to be very careful with the outsiders who come to protest on behalf of whom we do not know, right? But it's vital to defend a project that is important for the country and especially for Bahía del Tambo. Thus, we must be careful and watchful of these individuals who come around during political times, right? Like Antauro Humala did at one time, coming close without any kind of success, but we have to be careful. We will also have Cesar A. Gustavo De Vinatea, the new general manager of the Mining Engineers Institute, will share his views on current mining topics, which is essential to understand and also see what
his opinions are regarding this. Certainly, we should emphasize the social inclusion work of modern mining. Today, we will also have the presence of Aurora Gamarra, the Superintendent of Community Relations for Hudbay, Peru. The topic we will discuss with her is the integration of local businesses into the logistics chain of Mina Constancia in Cusco.
These are the consequences. That's right. And first of all, we first need to get informed about the mining happenings. So let's turn it over to Gabriela Chicoma for the main mining news of the week.
Thanks, Jorge. Here are the main mining news items for the week.
The El Algarrobo mining project located in Tambo Grande, Piura, has been marked of interest by Proinversión and the Ministry of Energy and Mines. This major project entails a total investment of US $2,153 million and stands as one of the most notable initiatives in Peru's mining landscape for this year. The expected Tia Maria mining project in Arequipa is close to becoming a reality. According to Oscar González Rocha, CEO of Sauder Peru, this project's construction will kick off in with an investment of $1.4 billion. The mine is anticipated to be operational in approximately 2 years. The petrochemical plant's construction in Arequipa continues to be a priority for Governor Rogel Sanchez, who requested the mediation of Minister of Energy and Mines Romulo Mucho to make this a reality as soon as possible. The governor was invited to the ministry to discuss the progress made in the development.
Well, we are now with Aurora Gamarra, the Superintendent of Community Relations at Hudbay, Peru. Aurora, how are you? Welcome to Rumbo Minero.
Hello.
Give us some details about what we know is that Hudbay is an inclusive mining company, socially integrated with the communities. This leads them to take on a role that goes far beyond, from tax contributions and the fee, like we know. Tell us about the relationship and the work you currently have with the communities. And I wanted to ask you additionally, which is the way to engage with the communities as well, because Hudbay has been doing a very good job. And I think it is crucial for all the audiences in the mining sector and for the people of Peru to also comprehend those different aspects. Points to consider for good relations with communities.
The days. Yes, let's take a look. We have what I believe is success, in quotation marks. Also, the qualified success of our speech in the relationship we have with our communities is 1, the dialogue. And 2, we involve them and greatly respect their vision of development that our communities have. We have 10 communities surrounding the mine, with which we work on a daily basis, but we also have our districts, say, to which our communities and the province are connected, together with all of them. We have agreements that we have signed for investing in social responsibility, where we allocate funds, we commit economic amounts annually with the aim of prioritizing projects. But Hudbay does not prioritize them as such. It's not that they come and say, all right, we have committed, for example, in the agreement with the province of Chubivilgas or our district of Levitaca, Chamaca, and Belila, we commit the fund, but by mutual agreement with them, through a dialogue space, we prioritize the projects, and the district, the province, and our communities also decide.
The fund is managed by you and by the
Community, district, and province
and they will
manage it,
discuss the projects they desire, but which ones are
honoring their development vision, their
concerning
needs, their gap closures. At times, it may not seem clear to us. We have opinions regarding whether it is a project that meets all technical, economic, and other standards. We have opinions, but we highly respect their development vision. So they, essentially, we provide funds for our communities, district, and province. And they, jointly, they have also formed committees to prioritize these types of projects. Obviously, we move forward at the speed of their development vision.
Aurora, it is always necessary to repeat that modern and socially responsible mining companies play a highly inclusive role in this regard, particularly as they include communal companies in the supply chain. So in that sense, I wanted to ask you about the relationship with the communal companies in Fortaleza.
As I mentioned, we have these agreements with the provincial districts because we are within the territory, but we have our communities close to our operation. In fact, we have 2 large communities with which we have had or have land negotiations because they are the ones who have ultimately ceded their lands for us to develop our activities. And with them, we have signed, in addition to these social responsibility agreements, development, additional agreements for access to the land. In this case, in these 2 large communities, we have had a longer relationship as well. We have our communal companies in each case, in addition to our communal entrepreneurs. In other words, we have the communal company that represents all our community members, which has 750 in one case and 1,200 in the other, but also individual entrepreneurs from our communities who contribute to our supply chain.
I wanted to ask you how a communal company is established and what the main sectors, products, or services are that they provide to local businesses?
Well, we have first the individual entrepreneurs from our communities and our communal companies. Finally, I will answer your question. They, for example, provide us with almost 100% of the yellow line equipment and machinery, units, trucks, minibuses, etc. They provide yellow line equipment and large machines. In fact, one of our communities has equipment like a 374 with us, which is a giant mining machine, 1 in 10, a giant mining machine. We have 99% without fear of making a mistake, equipment supplied by our community members or our communal entrepreneurs and community companies. And the large communal companies will distribute their profits among all our community members. They, for example, transport as a whole. Currently, they transport 35% of our concentrate. They have a direct contract with Hudbay. We are also working with one of these communal companies because there is undoubtedly a process of knowledge transfer. We have signed an agreement with them to transfer from our contractor Stracon, a large mining company known by everyone. We are transferring the operation and maintenance of equipment that works in mining operations. So on July 25, we should begin the community enterprise. One of our communal companies will provide that service, meaning they will rent us all of the equipment that will be in use. They will also manage maintenance. For example, we've transferred services of laundry, kiosk, cleaning, and we are also transferring 2 more services. The advantage of transferring knowledge to our community businesses is that the service quality remains. When we made this transfer, for example, of the laundry service, the user, which is us workers, did not feel or see a gap in quality between what was provided by Sodexo, our main contractor for camp management, and the service that was being provided by the community, in this case, the firm.
The way to involve communities helps a lot because also at the moment there is a pause.
Okay?
They also do not receive anything. They lose out too.
Yes, I want to point out something one of our communal presidents always says he does not mention. There is a conflict, as you rightly point out. We both lose because Jadwick stops working, stops mining, and I stop charging because they provide us the services. If we do not mine, they do not transport the concentrate
Absolutely.
and stop charging. Likewise,
Look at the numbers, Aurora. Maybe you can bring it up. In the year 2019, billing with community companies fluctuated between 14 and 16 million pre-pandemic. Last year, we saw a 100% increase with billing at 33 million in 2024. What do you think?
we hope to reach about 50 million because that reflects the involvement of our community companies and local entrepreneurs. Local has risen. We are in this process. And our contract manager consistently mentions it in her presentations. We are in the process of transferring all services to our business owners and helping them in this learning process. All right, we transfer, but they have their own process to transfer that knowledge to ensure service quality stays intact. And naturally, that they provide us with services at competitive and market rates.
Excellent, Aurora. Thank you very much for being with us. Aurora Gamarra, Superintendent of Community Relations at Hudbay. Very interesting what you have shared, and we hope that all mining companies should have that level of engagement with communities, obviously formal ones in Peru, so we can create a win-win situation in the mining sector. We will call you back another time to tell us more about the work you're doing.
Okay, thank you.
Now we'll take a commercial break and come back.
Now, for our international segment on American mining, we're glad to welcome back José Gonzáles, our international editor of our magazine Rumbo Minero, but we won't do it from Wall Street in New York, where he lives. Instead, we have him here, in person, in Lima and in the studios of our program. How are you, José? Welcome as
Delighted,
always.
Cesar. Always a pleasure.
We're going to discuss some interesting topics. The Central Bank of the People's Republic of China has launched a surprising and bold economic support plan, let's say monetary, as it evidently impacts its role in the growth of the Chinese economy, which has a set target of 5%, knowing that the People's Republic of China, in past decades, it had impressive growth over 8 or 9%. And this has involved interest rate cuts, as well as cuts to bank provisions and investments in shares and real estate. Do you think this will truly aid the Chinese economy, Jose? What factors will fuel the stimulus? And finally, about the mining sector, will it have any impact on the trade of critical minerals?
That's right, Cesar, both because of what you said and the scale of the announcements as well as the surprise. At the third plenary of the party, no announcements were made to stimulate this public sector's economy. Yet now China is doing so due to a series of negative expectations from private banking, particularly American. What does the Central Bank of China do? They announce measures after growth expectations became more and more centered on the idea that China cannot achieve that 5% that has been stated by the government. It cut bank provisions by 0.5% to their lowest level since 2020, while simultaneously announcing a cut of 0.10% in the repos, which will provide 142 billion in liquidity to the Chinese monetary system. At the same time, it has cut the minimum payment for acquiring second homes from 25 to 15% and has increased coverage for municipalities to purchase unsold homes from 60 to 100%. One of the fundamental problems in China is that a lot has been built and that housing is not moving. The central bank will also support the stock markets to the tune of $113 billion. The measures have been positively received by financial markets, but there's debate on whether they really address the structural problems of the Chinese economy. We'll see. No measures beyond monetary policy have been revealed. Nonetheless, metal prices responded positively as we remember China concentrates the highest demand for copper in the world, primarily in construction. And copper that had traded at levels of $3.47 a pound in early August, at the end of August, in early August. Following a record 5.2 in May, it has been recovering for 3 weeks straight and increased 8% in September, 452. Futures markets assume that with the rate cuts in the United States and Chinese monetary stimulus, essential minerals should keep increasing. And remember that over the long term, copper will be driven by China's energy transition. So the outlook remains positive as copper continues to increase its prices.
Well, we'll see how the Chinese economy unfolds. The approach being taken in the coming months is very interesting. With this dynamic that the central bank is also boosting of this powerful country. On the other hand, among the international events that have caused quite an impact, without a doubt, is the natural event of Hurricane Helen, which impacted 6 states in the US, not only causing devastation and loss of life, but also observing the increase in these natural phenomena, Jose. And of course, it is evidently linked to global warming. How can we intensify our efforts for the decarbonization process that we are all committed to as humanity?
This latest hurricane has been one of the most destructive in the United States in the last 50 years, with a number of victims that already exceeds 100. The most destructive hurricane and the one that caused the most casualties in US history is Katrina, which caused 1,833 deaths. The second was Ian, which caused 150 direct and indirect deaths in Florida. And Helen is in third place, exceeding Irma, which had 92 casualties, mainly in Florida. Harvey and Sandy caused between 60 and 75 deaths in the United States. Since Katrina, hurricanes have become increasingly frequent, powerful, and broad. Last year, we had a hurricane that extended to Canada. It did not fade until it reached Canada. And the issue with the scale since Katrina, the problem is not the winds, but the water. And it is the water that has caused massive destruction, particularly in North Carolina. These storms increased the heat waves that led to 600 victims in Washington and Oregon in 2021 and 645 in Phoenix. The New York Times states that heat waves are resulting in more deaths than hurricanes. The number of casualties from heat waves has increased twofold from 1999 to 2003. The issue is so serious that scientists are suggesting we name heat waves just like hurricanes. This is to create awareness of the issues they pose. These are called extreme weather systems. By recognizing and naming them, they are acknowledged as enemies, and we address not only the damage they cause, but also how to predict them. And the key remains investing in renewable energy. an energy transition that keeps supporting critical minerals, as we noted in the previous cement block. It is already clear to economists the demand for critical minerals is centered on construction, and urban growth will be taken up by energy transition and electromobility, creating a quite positive outlook, especially for the land.
Still, Jose, we are paying the price for years and decades of neglect on this matter that was warned about at least half a century ago. Yet no suitable measures were taken, and now we are facing the consequences. Jose, as always, it's a pleasure to have you on the show. José Gonzáles, editor of our international section of Rumbo Minero magazine, was here with us. You can access it for free at www.rumbominero.com. All the crucial information, the deep thoughts that José Gonzáles brings us can be found in our magazine, and of course, the topics related to the mining market. Let's now proceed to the AMSAC mining assets section.
The environmental situation in Loroya was quite complex. Peru had to assume its custodial responsibility to safeguard the health of the population and the ecosystem.
Previously, the streets and paths were mud, they were dirt. So, there was contamination, and that has changed as mining sites have been covered and cleaned up. Everything that was contaminated has now been covered, so to speak.
Nowadays, Alto Marcaval has developed quite a bit, both in commerce and transportation. Jobs have been created. It's practically a different quality of life now. This place, as you say, has developed a lot, right? Thanks to that, we have more development from our association here in Alto Marcaval, right?
Even the animals previously suffered from the limping that is mentioned. The limping little animals that couldn't walk because of the contamination. That disease has vanished now.
In these areas, with exposed and contaminated soils, I played with my brother, friends and family. I am filled with joy to work for a company that has made a change in La Aurora. Today's children have a completely different reality.
All right, now we have Gustavo from Vinatea, the General Manager of the Institute of Mining Engineers of Peru, and we welcome Rumbo Minero, also congratulating him for his new position as General Manager of the Institute. Congrats, Gustavo. Thanks, Jorge. Now tell us a bit, within the context of Minexpo, Romulo Mucho, the Minister of Energy and Mines, announced that the sector is leading the process of formulating the national multi-sectoral mining policy for the upcoming year, which the government has mentioned will be enacted with the goal of prioritizing both competitiveness and sustainability in mining operations using natural resources responsibly as a common good. What's your take on this?
I believe it's a very positive initiative. The efforts of the Ministry of Energy and Mines have proven to be totally ineffective when done separately. We need a multi-sectoral policy. I have been involved with various governments, advising ministers and vice ministers, and I have participated in meetings of deputy ministers where the deputy minister of mines would often cry in front of his colleagues to push through important projects for the country moving forward. But the other sectors sadly have their own priorities, and mining is not the issue that unites a council of deputy ministers. That's why this kind of multi-sectoral policy, where all sectors commit to advancing specific projects that are important for the country, is the only way to make mining viable in Peru.
Absolutely. We are at a crucial moment for Peru. Due to the immense demand for mineral resources because of the energy transition, and you've had a critical view so that the Ministry of Energy and Mines isn't the only body but to coordinate. What is missing in the regulatory framework to enhance this public task for the benefit of these resources we possess?
I think the key issue is the lack of political will. I think Peruvians understand what we must do to develop to become a country with more opportunities for all, particularly for the young. Yet we need that political will to establish state policies where all sectors engage. And as you mentioned, mining is a matter of opportunities. And we have missed opportunities in the past. We lost a chance with guano, saltpeter, anchoita, and rubber. A synthetic material arrived, replaced rubber, and we lost that chance. And mining is quite similar. It's about opportunities. Right now, we have a significant opportunity for Peru with the minerals that will be required for the global energy transition. 8 of the 17 essential minerals are found in Peru. And if we start producing lithium, it will be 9 out of 17. That is to say, most critical minerals globally would be produced in Peru. This is an opportunity for the development of Peru.
Now, regarding opportunities, the Tia Maria project, how do you see the executive president of Southern, Mr. Oscar González Rocha? He talked about $1.4 billion in the year of the year of the year of the year. The project will begin soon. And the mine should be up and running in 2 years. So it will all be very quick because it was actually ready, right? But looking at investors, for those who didn't have a good view of Peru, how do you believe they view us now that a project that has been on hold for years is set to move forward?
Well, Tia Maria is a significant project, and it's a copper project, one of the main metals for the energy transition. Copper prices are at record levels today, record highs, and I think this trend will persist in the future. This is excellent for Peru, because we are the second country in the world with copper reserves. We have the second largest copper reserve in the world. And I believe that projects like Tia Maria and many others along the Peruvian highlands concerning copper should come to fruition soon.
Now, the strategy has been good. It hasn't been talked about much, right? But I think the strategy has been good. The Peruvian mining sector is shifting towards copper because today 70% of the projects are copper, right?
Indeed. Yes, we are the world's second biggest copper producer, and we possess vast copper reserves, plus high-quality copper. Copper that is sometimes acquired in the international market to boost the grade of other concentrates. Thus, we have a great opportunity there, but I think we should look at the Quellaveco model. Quellaveco is another important copper mine that has been successfully executed and is yielding very good results for the country's welfare, great revenue, but where the government has engaged with the project. And one sees the participation of many state sectors collaborating to develop Moquegua, and each sector is contributing its part in a list of commitments made as a state, so that it's not only the private company that must improve the lives of people in those areas. In Tia Maria's case, we are discussing Islay, a province in Arequipa, which requires numerous resources and opportunities for its youth particularly. These projects create significant decentralized development, which I think the country requires.
Gustavo, during Expomina, we held a fascinating forum as part of APEC with officials from the Asia-Pacific Economic Forum. It was interesting as we talked about mining on a smaller scale, as it's known globally. And here in Peru, the MAPI Law project is currently being discussed and fine-tuned for artisanal and small-scale mining. What is your overall view of this project? It has some potentially controversial elements like the strengthening of regional offices, where different controversies have sometimes taken place. Why can't they clearly define the boundary between informality and illegality? So what is your general impression of the project?
Formalization is a complex issue. It's not a simple matter that is easy to grasp or tackle because it has many realities, as you have rightly pointed out. You have the artisanal miners, the small producers, and you have this criminality that I personally do not call mining. To call it illegal mining is like saying robbery is the illegal trade of cell phones. It's theft. Thus, I think we should identify the crime in the mining sector as what it is, criminality. It's organized crime. It's a complex issue. I believe there has always been a desire to formalize this segment of mining, which is an important segment. But formalizing it was tough. The process was very cumbersome, and we swung to the other extreme, to a reinfo, which is a blanket of impunity for criminal organizations that cannot be investigated for illegal mining, simply by being listed in this registry. I believe this has caused a lot of harm to the sector in recent years, and it is about to expire. Hopefully, there won't be any initiatives to prolong or expand this reinfo for more years, which has only turned into a blanket of impunity for many criminal groups. On the other hand, I think the ministry's initiative to propose a project is good. It seems to me a serious project which aims to provide the necessary formalization for these activities, those that are actually legalizable and formalized. But it ends the reinfo, among other things, and sets deadlines for formalization, which is something the previous regulation was deficient. It suggested processes but had no deadlines. So once that time is up, you can't operate, for example.
Let's hope the new MAPI law isn't distorted in Congress, right? Because they will receive it and likely start changing it too much. The reality is we can't live like this. It's $4 billion in illegal mining exports this year. It's a serious issue of money management, and there are even criminal gangs, right?
As an illegal activity, it has surpassed drug trafficking in our country. It is the illegal activity that generates the most money in Peru. And this is noticeable in citizen security issues, the increase in violence and insecurity. Much of this is due to the large income these criminal organizations have, which finance other crimes like contract killing, human trafficking, and so on, corruption. This undermines the entire social structure, creates violence, and is what we Peruvians are seeing today.
Agreed. Thanks a lot, Gustavo, for being here on Rumbo Minero. Your thoughts are interesting, and we hope to see you again at another time so we can talk a bit more about the plans we know you are preparing for the Institute of Mining Engineering, Perumin, ProExplo, and every event, including Mining Thursdays and all the events they hold. Thanks, and I'm here for you. That's right. As we approach the end of the program, Cesar, the work that Hudbay has been doing is important. The style, the approach, and the strategy they have developed are very interesting. And of course, we are very pleased to welcome Gustavo De Vinatea, the newly appointed General Manager of the Institute of Mining Engineering, to tell us a bit about them. He has shared some about everything, and he knows a lot.
Of course, the growth of the sector is very profound. What pleasantly impresses me is that it has a vision, because the Institute focuses on its people. The amount allocated for the execution of events, the Mining Thursdays, which you greeted in the interview. So we know Gustavo Ignacio will do great.
Yes, I urge all Peruvians to give significant support to the mining sector in Peru. We are at $1 billion for the next 10 years. But in reality, we should be at least triple that for all the minerals we have. And in this era of copper and electromobility, it is crucial that we support mining to get out of poverty and extreme poverty. This is an issue for all Peruvians, not just those in the mining sector. It concerns everyone, because those taxes, that money goes to the central government, which distributes it, and it benefits us all. Therefore, it is essential to defend and be proud of our Peruvian mining. Thank you for joining us on this broadcast. In a few minutes, Peru Construye is coming up, so don't leave. We appreciate your support from Rumbo Minero. Thank you very much.